Are we live? Because on the page it is not like on the YouTube it is not visible.
Yes, yes, अभी live हुआ just.
All right, just put one message on the delegate group that everybody should join in. Hi, good evening, delegates. Are you all present? If you're there, say hi, inform your friends on the group also so that they can also join in very quickly. I'll wait for 2, 3 more minutes so that other people can join in and then I'll. All right, everybody. I think today not a lot of you are here, so it is okay. So, in today's session, what I'll do is I will cover up your documentation, okay, and I will also take up your doubts. Fine. And it is okay if not a lot of people have joined in. At least we can later on, they can later on see it. Now, let's just understand what documentation is. Okay. Documentation is basically, you know, at the end of the committee, when we conclude the committee, see, anything that we discuss, if it is an open air, there is no discussion on that. There is no hardcore written document that, says as a proof after the debate is over, then everything is meaningless, right? क्योंकि इमेजिन अ सिनेरियो जब हम छोटे होते थे तो हम क्या करते थे अपने सिबलिंग्स के साथ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करते थे कि यू डू माई होमवर्क एंड आई विल मेक मैगी फॉर यू लेट्स से ठीक है ये हम लोग कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करते थे और इसको हम कहीं लिख के साइन कराते थे ऐसा हम क्यों करते थे बिकॉज समवेयर वी वांटेड कि उसका एक प्रूफ हो सिमिलरली यूएन में जो भी डिस्कशन होता है अगर वो इन ओपन एयर होके खत्म हो जाता है देन देयर इज नो प्रूफ ऑफ दैट राइट सो दैट इज द आइडिया okay that is why we have documentation wherein you write down whatever you have discussed verbally in the committee and then we probably have a proof of our discussion okay so that other countries are somewhere obligated okay also all the people fighting in the what do you say live chat I think if you want to just fight in the live chat you can leave this and you can fight somewhere else because this session is for learning something right and then later on you can just do whatever even if you want to like engage in all these things make sure that you're respectful towards each other okay because everybody does it for fun and everything I don't mind but be respectful to one another and you can probably join some group chat and do it not here this is a session to learn something okay right now all the documents that we make right they all have one purpose that is solutions that is the main purpose behind almost all the documents that you will see around okay all right apart from two people fighting in the chat box everybody else before I move on as usual we do one activity if you are here you are present and you want to learn documentation write down yes I am ready to learn in the chat box okay I'm waiting for you all to write down yes I am ready to learn in the live chat so that we can see that yeah you want to learn okay the dress code will be Western formals and Indian formals. Okay, so that will be told on your group that on which day you'll wear what. You'll have to wear what. Good. So I can see a lot of I'm ready to learn. Very nice. Now let's just move on. Okay. When we talk about documentation, there are not you will not encounter all of them in your committee. I am just training you and I'm just giving you slight explanation or explaining you all of them in brief so that whatever MUNs you go to, you have some understanding. Okay, you have some understanding of how to make the document. Also, rest everybody. Don't engage with whosoever is doing comments in the group, in the chat, because understand one thing they're doing it so that you give them validation and attention. If you stop doing that, you're taking away their power from them. So, better don't engage in all of these things. Okay, let them type. Okay, all right. Um, right. Moving on. First document that we I want you to learn about is a position paper. What is a position paper? Position paper is a pre-committee document that you submit before you come to the MUN, wherein you give your stance on the agenda. Okay, so if you're debating about let's say environment, so there are few countries who are pro-development and there are others who are pro-environment. ठीक है, the ones who are pro development say that developed countries have already, done their part of job and they have exploited the environment enough. Now when it is our chance to, develop our industries, you're stopping us by saying environmental concerns. Then that makes the whole setup unfair. So that is one side. Other side is pro environment. That environment is peak, doesn't matter which country exploited it earlier. At the end, now we have to save it. So, if there are two sides that are divided in the committee, then in position paper can also help you, put forth your stance before the MUN starts. Okay. All right. Next comes your press release and press statement. When you, as a committee, come together and you write down whatever you have discussed and you submit it to the press, like we have media, okay, in India. So, international press is also there. So, when you submit all of that to international press, okay, the real press that exists, that is called a press release. But it is only when you submit it on a committee level. But if you are like three delegates are coming together and they are submitting something to the press, that will be called a press statement. Whereas if the entire committee, let's say if we are in UN Women, entire UN Women committee is submitting it, then it is a press release. Okay, all right. Moving on. Next up is a recommendation paper. Okay. Recommendation paper. What is a recommendation paper? It is a document that is used to write down whatever possible suggestions you want to give on a particular matter. You can give your recommendations with regards to anything and everything that is being discussed in the committee. All right. Next is your analysis paper. I'm going in very brief because you don't need to understand everything in too much detail. Next is your analysis paper. What is analysis paper? Analysis paper is a document in which if there is an issue, okay, let's say issue is misusage of social media platforms by young students, okay, or spreading hate via social media. If this is the issue that you're writing about, then probably if you are writing a point that in today's time youth is highly involved in being keyboard warriors and trolling people over internet and all of that, then your analysis paper will give an in-depth understanding of why it happens, why it is common in youth, why it is currently growing, and how can you deal with it. So in-depth understanding of it you'll put in your analysis paper. Okay, what is your understanding of it? Next is your committee report. Committee report is when you as a committee come together, okay, and when you as a committee come together and you give like you prepare a report based on everything that is done in your committee. You put problems, you put solutions, you put understanding, all of that. That is part of your committee report. Okay, any doubts still here? If yes, then let me know. If no, then put a thumbs up in the chat. Very quickly put thumbs up if everything is clear. If not, then you can ask your doubts. Give me some indication that there are no doubts. Okay. Next up, delegates, are there any doubts? Seeing none in the chat box, I will move ahead. Okay. Next thing that comes up are joint statements. Joint statements is if two countries come together or more than two countries come together and they give a statement that we condemn action done by Pakistan or terror funding done by Pakistan. That is a joint statement. It is a soft statement that countries give by coming together. Okay. Now coming on to agreements, bilateral agreements. When two countries, let's say, come together and they make an agreement on something. For example, there is a river. So country A says, I will take 30% of the river, and country B says, I'll take 70% of the river, and they sign that document and they both are obligated to follow it. That is a bilateral agreement. But when there are more than two countries, that becomes a multilateral agreement. Okay. Next is your presidential statements. Presidential statements are those statements that are delivered by President of UN Security Council based on the entire Security Council. Although the other interpretation or the other definition of this document that is very commonly seen in the MUN circuits is that presidential statement is a document which comprises of statement by president of different nations. So that is also one way how people look at it. Agreed conclusions is made in bodies like Commission on the Status of Women, wherein you all, like the nations, come together and they write down all the conclusions that they have agreed on so that they can further recommend it to ECOSOC, okay, or any other body. Review reports is when you're reviewing something that is existing. For example, you're reviewing a law, you're reviewing a policy. So the report that you write, these are the pros, these are the cons, these are the good points, these are the bad points. All of that comes under your review reports. Okay. Now moving on to plan of action. Okay. Plan of action is basically what happens in your recommendation paper. You write down, um, okay, you write down a solution in your recommendation paper. In plan of action, you give a detailed plan on how any solution can be implemented, starting from how it will start, which body it will involve, and all of that to its implementation, funding. For example, if I'm saying score good in board exams, that is a recommendation. But if I'm telling you to complete NCRT thrice by September, read reference books, solve 10 years papers, do RD Sharma and RS Agrawal, join XYZ coaching, pay to this YouTube channel for studying, buy mock test of this YouTube channel, all of that, okay, is part of plan of action, wherein I'm giving you a detailed plan of how to do something. Okay. Next is your thematic paper. We talked about moderated caucuses, right? That we divide main agenda into sub agendas. Similarly, in thematic paper, we divide our main topic into subtopics and then we write solutions on that. So, if my main topic is water scarcity, okay, so at one part I'll write down about rainwater harvesting and then write about it. In the other part, I'll write down about pollution from industries. In the other part, I will write about, let's say, um, uh, I think the screen share has stopped. Whosoever is there from Team Xanthron, the screen share has stopped. If you could help me with that. Right. Thank you so much. Now it is working. Okay, so I hope you are clear with the thematic paper. Now coming on to communique. What is the communique? Communique is a consensus-based document. So when you are taking a very concrete action, that is very, very important. And your entire committee comes together for that. For example, it is about banning a country from UN. security counts. Let's say UNHRC, or removing a member from UNHRC, or banning a country for XYZ thing. Okay. So communique is a document that is made with 100% consensus. That is, all the people who are there while it is being made agree to it. They pass it. Otherwise, communique fails. Then is your working paper. Working paper क्या है? जैसे हम बनाते हैं ना वर्किंग नोट स्कूल में, कि हमने पहले नोट्स बनाए फिर उसको फेयर नोट्स में कन्वर्ट करा. सिमिलर इज विद द वर्किंग पेपर. वर्किंग पेपर इज अ प्री ड्राफ्ट ऑफ योर ड्राफ्ट रेजोल्यूशन, जिसमें आप सारे सॉल्यूशंस लिख देते हो, फिर जो उसमें से बेस्ट सॉल्यूशंस होते हैं वो उठा के आप ड्राफ्ट रेजोल्यूशन में डाल देते हो. ठीक है. एंड ड्राफ्ट रेजोल्यूशन इज द मोस्ट फॉर्मल फॉर्म ऑफ डॉक्यूमेंट that exists in the UN system. Yes. Press releases whatever you have discussed, you write it down and you deliver that statement to the press, that is to the media as a committee, that this is what we have discussed. और जैसे होता है ना कि गवर्नमेंट की मीटिंग्स होती है तो वो प्रेस रिलीज करते हैं कि ये डिस्कस हुआ, ये मीटिंग का कंक्लूजन निकला. सो दैट. ओके. These are all the documents. I will explain you draft resolution in detail. Before that, if there are any doubts, let me know in the chat, live chat. Otherwise, I will move on to the draft resolution. Okay. Today our session is short, so we will do just the documentation and I will explain you the chits. And after that, I'll take your doubts and we'll end for today. Okay. All right. If there are still any doubts, you can put it in the chat and I'll answer. MUN में क्या करना होता है? In MUNs, basically you debate about multiple things. You answer questions that other countries ask you. You make documents. You discuss and negotiate with other countries. All of that. अगर ये आपका पहला सेशन है मैच में एडिट, तो पहले की 2 वीडियोस देख के अंडरस्टैंड द बेसिक्स. ओके. एंड पहले वो दोनों वीडियोस देखोगे तो उससे आपको प्रोसीजर समझ आ जाएगा. आज की वीडियो उसके बाद देखना, अभी देखने का कोई पॉइंट नहीं है अगर आपने पहले की 2 वीडियोस कवर नहीं करी है तो. ओके. ऑल राइट. आगे बढ़ते हैं. नाउ टू ड्राफ्ट रेजोल्यूशन. नाउ ड्राफ्ट रेजोल्यूशन इज द मोस्ट फॉर्मल फॉर्म ऑफ डॉक्यूमेंट इन द यूएन सिस्टम. ठीक है. वी लर्न अबाउट हाउ टू मेक इट. कार्तिकेय चिट्स लिमिटेड मिलेंगी, ये आपके चेयर्स बताएंगे ऑन द डे ऑफ द कमिटी. वो हर ईबी टू ईबी डिपेंड करता है. ओके. ह्यूमन राइट्स काउंसिल की लेट्स से रेजोल्यूशन है. सबसे पहले लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड रेजोल्यूशन बनती कैसे है. नीचे आ जाते हैं यहाँ पे. राइट. तो रेजोल्यूशन बनाता कौन है? एक ड्राफ्ट रेजोल्यूशन बनाते हैं या तो स्पॉन्सर्स या सिग्नेटरीज आर द मेन मेकर्स ऑफ इट. स्पॉन्सर्स कौन होते हैं? जो मेनली वो रेजोल्यूशन को लिखते हैं, जो मेन मेकर्स होते हैं. Signatories are those who just want this resolution to be discussed. Um, Aravali Workspace, what point can you please tell me? Okay, you have a lot of questions about journalism. Don't worry, I will answer those questions. These sessions are pertaining to particularly your UN committees. Okay. If you have IP related questions, I will take that up as much as I can. Otherwise, we'll keep one session with your chair. Which point one, please specify. I'm not able to understand. I'm so sorry. Point one, where? Is it position paper that you're talking about? Or Avli workspace? Please specify. Okay, I think you're referring to position papers. So, position papers are basically documents that are submitted prior to the committee, all right, stating whatever you believe with regards to the agenda as a nation. Okay, so if you have general doubts, लाइक ब्लॉक्स क्या होते हैं एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट। तो प्लीज वेट, आई विल टेल यू व्हाई। जो आपके जनरल डाउट्स हैं वो मैं एंड में लूंगी, ठीक है। एंड में मैं आपको जर्नलिज्म वगैरह भी समझा दूंगी थोड़ा बहुत, बट आई टेक इट आफ्टर आई एम डन विद एक्सप्लेनिंग द ड्राफ्ट रेजोल्यूशन। मैं डॉक्यूमेंट रिपीट कर देती हूँ। प्रेस रिलीज बेसिकली क्या होता है कि आपकी कमेटी ने पूरे दिन में जो भी डिस्कस किया वो एक दो पेजेस में सम अप करके प्रेस यानी कि मीडिया को दे देते हो, दैट इज प्रेस रिलीज। प्रेस स्टेटमेंट क्या है, अगर सिर्फ दो तीन डेलीगेट्स दे रहे हैं और पूरी कमेटी नहीं दे रही है तो वो प्रेस स्टेटमेंट बन जाती है, ठीक है। प्लान ऑफ एक्शन क्या होता है साची, कि बेसिकली इंस्टेड ऑफ गिविंग जस्ट अ सजेशन, हम इन डेप्थ बता रहे हैं कि कोई भी एक्शन कैसे एग्जीक्यूट होगा, यानी कि कोई भी चीज फ्रॉम पेपर टू ग्राउंड टू रियल लाइफ कैसे इंप्लीमेंट होगी, ऑल ऑफ दैट दोज पॉइंट्स इन डिटेल। कि यहाँ से फंडिंग लेंगे, इस वाली बॉडी के अंडर बनेगी, ये लोग सुपरवाइज करेंगे, इतना हम लोग वर्क फोर्स हायर करेंगे, ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स, ठीक है। Yes, sir, lovely workplace. Don't worry. There are individuals training sessions also with your chair, so you will have one. Don't worry about that. Okay? All right. अब हम ड्राफ्ट रेजोल्यूशन की बात करते हैं। कौन बनाता है, या तो स्पॉन्सर्स या सिग्नेटरीज। If you can make alliances or not, and all these are general question. Let me explain the draft resolution after which I'll answer. Sponsors are the main makers of the resolution. Okay, जो ये resolution लिखते हैं। Signatories are those who just want the resolution to be discussed in the committee. Okay. Doesn't matter they vote in favor or they vote against, they just want it to be discussed in the committee. Okay. Now, what is written in a draft resolution? So, there are two kinds of sentences we write down: preambulatory clauses and operative clauses. Preambulatory clauses are past actions taken, okay, on a particular topic. Analysis paper also I'll tell you after I'm done with the resolution. At this point, focus on the resolution. It is more important. Preambulatory clauses are the past actions taken on the agenda, and operative clauses includes the solutions that you're suggesting. So now you know who makes the resolution, what is written in it, right? Now, how this resolution is discussed. So, once you are done writing your resolution, it is discussed mainly in two to three ways. First, in a clause by clause manner. What is a clause by clause manner? Every solution that you suggest is read in the committee and people question you based on that. Okay, that is clause by clause manner. Other is by taking statements, for example, taking mods or GSLs, all of that on the draft resolution that you make. I'll show you a draft resolution. See here. On the top, we have written UNHRC, the committee, the emblem of the UN. Then every resolution has a number. So, resolution number, date. Original is basically the language it is made in. So, this one is made in English. So, original will be English, and original can be either English or French, as these are the only two working languages of the United Nations. Okay. Then leave distribution. Don't understand that. That's too much for you. Let it be. Now the sponsors, like we'll write the name of the countries who are making the resolution and those who are supporting it. Then agenda of your committee. Then comes your preambulatory clauses. Preambulatory clauses are the past actions. So see, let's read this one, okay? Recalling resolution WHA 6117 of 2008 on well-being of migrants and reaffirming the health-related commitments made within New York Declaration for Refugee and Migrants. Now, this is a resolution that has already been passed. We are talking about that. If you look here, all of them have first words, which are in italics. So these are actually your preambulatory clause phrases that we use. So what you have to do is when you Google preambulatory clause phrases and operative clause phrases, you will find list of words that you have to use before you start your sentence. Just one word, okay? Then here starts your operative clauses. They are numbered. They have all the solutions. They also have a list of words that we follow. Your sentence can only start from the words that are given in that list of preambulatory and operative clauses. Okay, that is the idea. When you are done with writing all the solutions, the last point of your resolution is this one: decides to remain actively seized of the matter, and that is where your resolution ends. So this -030 and or -000, this is a way how we put a finishing line. Okay, so that is your resolution. There is one more thing that I want to tell you all about the resolution, that is amendments. So not it's just that, I mean, there is discussion that happens, of course, but there is discussion that happen, of course, but apart from that, there is also provision of amendments. Amendments is basically bringing in change. So all the participants can suggest sponsors these three changes: addition, deletion, and modification. Addition is you can suggest the sponsors to add something. Deletion is you can suggest the sponsors to delete something from the resolution. And modification is you can suggest sponsors to modify something in the resolution. Okay. Now, once you suggest, how does this process follows? So you all are asked to write down on on a piece of paper what do you want to be added, like what exactly you want should be added in the resolution, deleted or modified. Then it is read for in front of the sponsors by the chair. Then sponsors can either categorize it as friendly or unfriendly. If they say it is friendly and they want to implement, then any of the three amendments that you send them to bring change in the resolution is directly implemented. But if they say unfriendly, then your amendment is voted upon and you need two-thirds of votes to pass it. For example, you would say in your amendment, delete clause number 7. If sponsor says friendly, then we will directly delete clause number 7. But if they say unfriendly, then we will vote, okay, with the entire committee. If there are two-thirds of vote, then that passes. Okay, that is the idea. I hope it is clear. Any doubts still here? Anyone? You can go through this part and you can ask me doubts if any. Draft resolution, I mean, there are people who have 50, 60 million experience and they don't have understanding of a draft resolution. So it's better that you in your initial days only learn it well. Okay. Draft resolution is the most, I'll sum it up again. Draft resolution is the most formal form of document that exists in the UN. It is made by the sponsors. Sponsors are the countries who actually make the draft resolution. Signatories are those nations who just want this draft resolution to be discussed. In its content, you write two things: preambulatory clauses and operative clauses. Preambulatory clauses are basically, points that you write from previous resolutions that have already been passed. Okay. And operative clauses are your solutions that you're suggesting right now. For example, if there is a resolution called XYZ, which is already passed in, let's say, 2020, and you want to recall it, that we should also follow that, then that will be part of your preambulatory clause. But if you want to suggest something new, that is your operative clause. Okay. This is about making of it. Now, in terms of discussion, there are amendments. Amendments are basically the kind of changes you can bring to the resolution. So, as normal delegates, you can suggest three kinds of changes: addition, deletion, modification. Once you suggest that, it is on the sponsors to whether or not accept it. If they accept it directly, they'll say it is a friendly amendment and they directly will implement whatever amendments you have given. But if they say it is unfriendly, then basically the committee has to vote and two-third majority is needed. Draft resolution is made in a group. It is not made individually, although documents like recommendation paper, analysis paper, thematic paper, all of them are kind of it is kind of possible to make them um, Somebody wants to understand what friendly and unfriendly amendment is. So basically, friendly amendment is if the sponsor agrees with your amendment and they directly implement it. Unfriendly is sponsor does not agree with your amendment. So yes, that is the fight. Somebody has asked, how can ma'am a delegate draft resolution? So see, there is always a fight that happens to become sponsor of the resolution because sponsors get more marks. So everybody wants to become the sponsor. So how you negotiate that the committee lets you be the sponsor is where you get marks in terms of your lobby. DR is not a pre-committee document. The only pre-committee document is your position paper. It is whatever document you are supposed to make, your chairs will tell you. So you can ask your chairs directly. I have told you, I think so about the socials, but you can ask Chaitanya and team. They'll let you know. Okay. Only analysis paper, thematic paper, position papers, recommendation papers. These are a few documents that you make individually. Rest, I think it is done in the group. Okay. I've told about socials. Probably yes, they are on both the days. But I'll you can still confirm it with Chaitanya. I'm not sure. The founder. Okay. Any other doubts in the documentation? Anybody? Any other doubts? Anything that you didn't understand? Somebody was asking me about analysis paper. Analysis paper is simply you analyzing or interpreting a policy or a solution in depth. How good it's it, how will it affect people, what will be its future implications, everything in depth. Okay. I have already answered that draft resolution is made in group. It is not done individually. The sponsors get the points for writing it mainly. Signatories also get marks, but it is much lesser. No, not an entire block can sponsor DR. Basically, only 3 to 5 delegates at max are allowed to. Okay. So if I mean those 3 to 5 people can of course be from your block, there is no harm in that. But not the entire block can become sponsors. Okay. Um, Ratika, we have covered documentation. Now I'll be taking up doubts and winding up for today. What are blocks? So blocks are basically countries who have like-minded ideology and plans. They come together and they support each other. Those groups of nations that come together and support each other are known as blocks. Okay. There is no need for them in UNEP, honestly, but if you want to make, you can. How do we become sponsored? You have to convince entire committee to let you be the sponsors for the draft resolution. Because that entirely depends on you, how well you negotiate with the entire committee that they ask you question, or they allow you to become a sponsor. They don't ask you questions, sorry, while you're becoming a sponsor. They agree. That is how you have to communicate with everybody so that it's easier for you to become one. Okay. Position paper, no chair has asked for position paper as of now. So on the day of the committee, you have to confirm with your chair. But even if they have not asked for it separately, then that means you are not supposed to make one. All right away. So don't worry about that. Yes, for what you need to make a speech? For becoming a sponsor? No. In your unmod, you have to convince people, okay? Yes, there can be 2 to 3 sponsors. No, no, I am. I see. Don't make like chairs are little lenient on foreign policy, but don't be too. Don't violate it too much. Honestly, Timings of the MUN will be given to you like 1 or 2 days before the MUN in the group. Okay. So don't worry. You'll get all the information. As of now, there's a lot of time. So don't worry at all. I'm waiting for doubts, if any. Okay, now I'm taking general doubts as well. Are there some sponsors for whole committee DR or make small groups in the committee and we have sponsors? See, the idea is when the draft resolution discussion is over, there is voting on that. So you require two-third majority to pass a resolution. So if you're making it in blocks, then you have to make sure that there are so many people in your block that it passes. Okay. Timings will be told in the group. The groups, I'll ask the team to open them today. And dress code will be one day you'll have to wear Indian formals, that is, you can wear a suit or a kurti. And basically, for Western formals, you can wear shirts, blazers, trousers, all of that. Okay. How can you be a sponsor? You have to convince the committee to allow you to be one of the sponsors for the resolution. If only everybody agrees, only then you can become a sponsor. So you have to lobby in the committee. Okay? All right. I'll ask the team to open the groups today. Don't worry. Okay. Are there any further doubts? Anyone, anything? If not, write down no doubts at least. How to make them consider? People will consider you for becoming a sponsor only if your performance is good enough and you are giving valid points and you're kind of controlling how the committee is debating in some way by probably deciding the mods or taking a lead in everything that is happening in the committee. That is how they will allow you. Okay. So your debate quality and your committee presence, both of them. Yes, sponsors get higher marks. That is why people fight desperately to become sponsors. See, श्रेष्ठ, there is no rigid number. ठीक है, हो सकता है कि आप जो फर्स्ट एमयूएन में जाओ वहाँ सब फर्स्ट टाइमर्स हो और आप उन सबसे बेटर करो, और हो सकता है आपके जो 15th एमयूएन है आप वहाँ जाओ एंड वहाँ पर सब एक्सपीरियंस हो और आपका नो अवार्ड आए. ठीक है. So it relatively depends on the kind of committee you are doing. But मेनली द आइडिया इज कि आपको एटलीस्ट 10-12 एमएन्स तो प्योरली लर्निंग पर्सपेक्टिव से करने चाहिए, जहां पे आप एक्सपीरियंस डेलीगेट्स पे आ रहे हो कमेटी में, ताकि आप उन्हें देखें और उनकी स्ट्रेटजीज कॉपी करें. ठीक है. Yes, Nisha. So basically, I was saying that if you want to be the sponsor, you have to target two things. Okay. Firstly, you have to be very good with your debate, your speeches, and everything. Secondly, you have to be very good with your committee presence, controlling the unmods, deciding for mods, lobbying, making sure everybody in the committee supports you, both of them. If you do that, then that slightly eases your chances to become a sponsor. Okay. All right. Any other doubts, anybody? There's one more thing I want to tell you, that is chits. Chits are basically written submission that happens in the committee that goes on throughout. There are two kinds of chits: points of information chit and substantive chit. Now, what are these things? So basically, you don't get chance to ask questions verbally all the time. Why? Because of course, there are so many delegates and all of that, and all of you will have so many questions. So there is a recognition sheet. So basically, in a POI or a reply chit, you ask questions to other countries and you answer questions by other countries. This is the format to whatever country you want to ask the question to from your own country and via email. Now, another kind of chits are substantive chits. Substantive chits are those chits in which you send extra set of information related to the agenda to the chair so that you get more marks. Okay. A lot of times it is said that it is extension to your speech कि अगर आपने speech में कुछ miss कर दिया तो substantive भेजो, but ऐसा नहीं है, उसके marks होते हैं, तो in general please do send substantives. Okay. Okay, if you want to know the sequence for the day, you will enter. There will be registration, breakfast. After that, you will attend the opening ceremony. After opening ceremony, you will go to your committee room. Okay. After going to the committee room, there will be roll call. Then you will set up the agenda. After setting up the agenda, you will establish the general speakers list. Okay, and you will start with GSL speeches. After a few GSL speeches are done, the chair will ask for motions. Motions for moderated or unmoderated caucus. Then let's say a motion passes for moderated caucus. So that will happen, speeches will be done there, and then we will switch to GSL automatically. Then again, mod or unmod, after a few GSLs, mod or unmod, and then we switch back. And at the end, we adjourn the committee. That is the idea here, okay? Points of information are the points used to ask questions verbally, or in written format and answer them. Okay, so between you delegates, you can ask questions to your fellow countries and answer questions by your fellow countries using a POI chit or a verbal POI. Okay, how to extract valuable research from very long UN docs? They're very long. Okay. If you're looking at some very long UN document, okay, I have told you that I don't support AI for research, but for helping you ease the process of research, here you can use AI. So what you can do is you can tell probably Gemini or Claude, these are the better ones, to tell you the page numbers or highlight the page numbers which has important points in it, or list down all the important points written in the document, and that probably can help you, and you can like verify the page numbers and check it in the documents and use it. There is usually one GSL, okay, and there are like 3 to 5 mods depending on your committee that you have to discuss in the group. Okay. No, there is no specific way of asking a question. It's just that it should be relevant to the speech and what is being discussed in the committee. Okay. Ma'am, you have sent 6 different types of reports. Do you have to write all of them? No, no, no. I was just explaining you for your future references. You don't have to do all of them. Rahul, I have already told you one GSL mostly, and then there will be 3 to 5 mods and 1 or 2 unmods depending on the committee. Okay. So it varies from committee to committee. All right. Now, if all doubts are clear, let me know. Just write down doubts clear so that I know that you're done. Okay. If your portfolio, very good question. If your country is, let's say, not directly involved in the agenda, what do you do then? In such scenario, you speak from a global perspective. Understand one thing: you're not sitting in your parliaments, right? You are sitting in a global forum. So here your ideas, your discussions, everything can be global in nature. So if something is not relevant to just your own country, preferably do one thing, that you put forth a global stance on it, a general global perspective, or you can probably target some other country and take them as reference and all of that. So that is up to you how you strategize that. Okay. In all the committees, you will have option in attendance to either say present or present and voting. Nisha, the sequence for the day, that is your itinerary, will be shared by the team one day prior to the MU1. Okay? Yes, present, and voting are there in all the committees. Aravali workspace, you don't have to, Abhi, don't write any reports. If there are to be any, like if there are any reports that are to be written, then your chairs will let you know. So as of now, you don't have to do anything. Okay. All right. Now everybody whose doubts are clear, please write all clear so that I know that you are done with your doubts and there are no more doubts. Just a little recall to research, please. Okay, of course. Somebody wants me to recall the research part. So when we talk about research, okay, it is what you can do is simply read this document, but I'll repeat. Firstly, start with knowing the basics. What is UN? What is your committee? What is mandate of your committee? That is basically powers and functions of your committee. Okay. Then, if it is working with some other body, what is the final result of your committee? That is, what is the final document that your committee makes? Then, funding channels. Where is it getting money from? Next is knowing your agenda, what happened historically, what is currently happening, what is like the future aim that people have. And then international legal instruments, which are basically, the documents, which are written down by all the ambassadors when they come together, okay? And they later on become part of the international law, which nations are, supposed to follow if they have ratified something, okay? Next is the PASTEL acronym. That is very important. Political, arms and ammunition related, social, technological, legal, and economical. These aspects of every agenda you should for sure know in detail. All right. And lastly, know about your own country's pastel part, and then your high value resources, support services, governance, political system, all of that. Then membership in any regional organization, for example, European Union, African Union, anywhere if your nation is part of, or in other organization apart from UN, let's say G20, for example. Okay. Then which countries are your friends and enemies? And lastly, your foreign policy. That is how your nation plans on to deal with any other nation that is foreign to you. That means that is not part of your country. Okay. That is the research part. Now, coming on to journalists. What journalists have to do is they have to basically, you when you'll come here, your IP head will take a detailed session wherein she'll tell you procedures of all the committees. And then you will be allotted different committees. So you have to go to your committees, write down different kinds of reports, articles, news headlines, all of that. All right, and then submit it to her. That is what the IP does. Also, a lot of time IP also does a press conference wherein you come to our committee and ask our delegates questions. Okay. So this is what mainly the press does. Ratika, I cannot tell you the mods. You people, the mods are in the hands of the delegates. So delegates, decide on what moderated caucus topics they want to discuss. And backup moderated caucus topics are, let's say you're preparing 5 topics, so that in case you are doing like only 3 topics in the committee, then you have 2 extra topics prepared already. So that if you have time, you can do these two as well. I hope there are no doubts now. No, so basically you can decide your subtopics in the group. I'll ask the team to open the group, and you can be ready with your speeches beforehand, because in the committee it gets very difficult to prepare speeches. But yeah, if even if you're not like you've not decided the topics, make sure that you take some general research on the parameters that I have suggested, so that it helps you, do the research or do like prepare the speeches. You have enough material. Okay. In ammunions, it is hardly possible that you get extra time to make speeches. You have to be prepared. Yes, journalists will be assigned to specific committees on the day of the conference. Backup mods are nothing, but I already told you, Rahul. I'll repeat it for you. Backup mods are basically कि अगर हमारे हमने 5 mods डिसाइड करे, पहले वाले खत्म हो गए और हमारे पास टाइम बचा, तो हम ये दोनों कर सकते हैं जो एंड के हमने बैकअप रखे हैं, या फिर अगर पहले वालों में से कोई भी पास नहीं हुआ तो ये लास्ट 2 mods है हमारे पास एक्स्ट्रा, मतलब एडिशनल बैकअप के लिए हम रख लेते हैं ना, कि अगर हमारा मेन चीज खत्म हो जाए तो हमारे पास एक बैकअप हो वो। ठीक है राहुल, इज इट क्लियर टू यू? Yeah, I'll explain you mods. Mods are basically you dividing your main agenda into sub agendas and then debating on it. For example, अगर आपका main agenda water scarcity है, तो आपने सब agenda में divide करा problems related to water scarcity, solution for water scarcity, and आपने उसके ऊपर speeches दी. Okay, that is what your moderated purposes are. All right. Any more doubts, anybody? Anything that you would want to ask me? Nisha, we will continue with the mods in the GSL on day 1 and day 2 both. So GSL list never ends. So what we do is we take few GSLs on like day 1 and a few on day 2. And then there are mods also. And at the end there is closing ceremony in which awards are given. So that is what happens. When you will have to wear traditional and when you will have to wear western, both of that will be told to you on your group. So you just keep your outfits ready and they will be told to you a day or two prior. Okay. Okay. Now finally, one last time, are all the doubts clear? Write clear in the chat box so we can end the session for today. If you still have a doubt, ask me. Nisha, GSL is usually one and mods will be up to you people. How many your committee decides to do. Okay, it is up to you people. That you to discuss in your lobbying group. Nisha, I've already answered your question that usually there is one or max two GSLs, and mod is on you how many mods you decide in your group as a committee. We can't predict as of now, but in usual amends, I've seen 2 to 5 mods happening. So minimum is 2, maximum is 5. Okay. All right. I think I've answered all the questions. So thank you very much, everybody. I hope you learned something in these 3 sessions and you're able to understand how MUN works. And all the very best for your conference. Prepare well. I know that you all will do amazing. Just make sure you research well, you search new things. Okay, you don't repeat points. You focus on quality over quantity. So that is the idea. Okay. All the very best. Thank you very much. Take care.